Christian, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I'm really good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And you are in the home healthcare business, right? And it's
ComforCare.
ComforCare.
Right. So we are a home care business. So there is a difference between a home care and home health. Clear difference. Number one is home health is Medicare.
Okay.
So Medicare pays for home health. Home care is most likely going to be private pay. So
Out of pocket,
right. Home health usually is, that you have a nurse, you will have physical therapies, occupational therapies, and they do come maybe twice a week for 30 minutes, an hour. Home care starts from 4 hours all the way to 24/7. So, and we do like what we call non-medical.
So it's like adult
activities.
daycare?
It's almost like adult daycare, but it's not in a place. It's actually at people's residence, right?
Cool.
So if the older adults is in their homes, we go to their homes. If the older adult is in assisted living communities, we go to there too.
Nice.
So it really depends on when they reside. Where they reside, we go to them and help them.
When did you first off, how long have you owned this business, and then why'd you choose this business?
Good question. So we started just before COVID.
Oh,
So
cool.
we actually bought the franchise in February of 2020.
So it is a franchise, okay.
It is a franchise, and of course, nobody understood or nobody could, predicted COVID, right? But the reason we bought this is because, number one is, I became very dissatisfied with, my corporate America life. So I think I want, my parents have always been entrepreneurs, so the itch is always there. I just never scratch it, right? And then my, family has grown up. My kids are grown up, so I think it's time for us to kind of, do it. If we don't burn the ship,
That's right.
in 2020, we would never burn the ship.
That's right.
And so we decided to do it. But the other thing too is, as we decided to go on our own, we thought about what do we want to do. I like fitness, so my first gut instinct was I'm going to open a fitness center, right? Thank God I didn't, right? And so so my wife, as wise as she was, right, told us, just hold on, right? So we actually went to a franchise consultant, and it was amazing that I didn't know there were 99 categories of franchise other than food.
And they give you a aptitude test and all that.
They talk, and they actually said, what do you like to do and stuff like that. So we kind of line it down to like 20 categories. One of them was home care. The more we thought about home care, we had a lot of experience with our parents, with our grandparents, where it involved care. So my dad actually passed away when he was 61. That was about 8 years ago. He is diabetic. One night he forgot to inject his insulin, and then he had the doctor said the heart kind of enlarged, and then he had like a stroke. The doctor said that he could probably recover with great physical therapies and occupational therapies. We actually hired a caregiver. This caregiver, and again, there's very much different between Asia, the way the culture and, how caregivers define.
Was this in Asia?
This is in Indonesia, where my wife and I came from, right? The caregiver was, the sole job of the caregiver there was just to feed him, dress him, bathe him. But there's
turn
really
the TV on and off. That
exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. Just like, remember Coming to America, bark like a dog.
She'll
do it, right? It's different. There's no meaningful activity. There's no engagement. And so my dad was bored. I think he was lonely. He was depressed. And I remember 6 months after he went out from the hospital, he just lost the will to live. And then he passed away, right? And so knowing that, every time when we talk to ComforCare, and the fact that we knew the type of things that they did or they're doing for older adults, it really struck us. And so it was very easy from that 20, then it became 3, and it became 1, and we decided to do it. So
what were the other two?
One was a property management, and then the other one was IT consulting. I think those were the 3, because my background, with I was
property management would be tough. That's a tough end.
It could be tough, because you have to identify who's the what do you call it, not the entrepreneur, but the people, the capitals, right? Who actually owns this apartment complex and stuff like that, right?
And you got to really, there's probably not a lot of turnover with property management, like there's other services, because it's it's so hard to make that switch because that person's been managing everything for you.
Right.
So I'm assuming they have to really screw up for them to leave.
For them to leave. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's probably a long cycle sell.
Yeah, we were lucky. I think this is the right decision for us to kind of go into.
It's great, and just that the baby boomers are there, so it's going to be more and more and more and more.
Right.
And they're building facilities, but I don't see that your sector growing where like it should, because there's a lot of people that want to live at home still, and they can.
Well, especially with COVID too, I think people are scared going to communities. I think communities now with vaccination have started to open up, which is great. There are families where there's a lot of if both of the, let's say one of the parents is sick and needs some care, if both of the families work, like the father, the husband and wife, they can't take care of the dad or the mom, right? When COVID happened, everything shut down and they had to work from home. Well, that was a perfect opportunity because they're home, they could take care. Now, as they go back to work, those communities are starting to open up. I think people will begin to start considering that. But to your point, a lot of them still want to be at home.
So my Meemaw, my grandmother passed away late last year, and I say that she didn't die from COVID, but she died because of COVID. So, what you said about your father, my grandmother was a very, very social person.
Yeah.
And she was in an assisted living facility, with probably as much care as you need to. Hey, you're just renting a room, and then there's the cafeteria. And when she got in there, it was, hey, there's a room, cafeteria. That's the kind of shape she was in. And it just, if she wanted to go out and socialize, she could. She wanted to go, tired of socialize, she'd go back to her room.
Right.
And we have a huge family. So there were she probably got 3-4 visitors a day.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because, there's like 70 of us on that side.
Right.
I would always go there on Mondays because I have to pick up my daughters from gymnastics, and it was right there. So I would go spend an hour with her every Monday. But I know everybody had not their days, but everybody had the day that they could drop by. Right. She just got a lot of visitors. Well, when that happened, and come on, we didn't have enough information. It's nobody's fault because they locked it down to help save people's lives. I totally understand it.
Right.
But the isolation killed her.
Yes.
I mean, she went from being very social to not talking to anybody for days on end. So it was, I think people tried to go to the outside of her window, but it's, she can't stand up.
Right? It's not the same.
And people need to touch people.
Yep.
Physically be there and touch people.
Yeah.
The human being needs that.
And it's funny, the things that we did to kind of protect these older adults actually making them worse. There's a ton of evidence where if you don't have any socialization, if you're isolated, you get depressed, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then those two, can actually lead to more harm because then your physical, will be affected.
It all matters. They all connect. Right. Yes, absolutely.
We have a client that she used to lead fitness, sit-down fitness for some of the adult daycare, older adult daycare. And she was then, because of COVID, she still lived independently by herself in her home. She then started having some dementia because of that. And so she started to, don't recognize where she's living sometimes. And then she started, there's an episode where she fell. And so, it's sad to see that because, we had a lot of these older adults that used to be very, very active and suddenly they're not, right?
Yeah, it's, and that big of a switch in your life is hard too. So,
very true.
Luckily the last, I would say it was probably 2 months of her life. I'd gotten back from a trip and I went to visit her, and that was when they would wheelchair her outside and let you talk at a table, and then they were, and I just didn't even recognize this woman. Like, it was not like she wasn't there. She couldn't open. She has a flip phone. She had a flip phone. One of the old flip phones.
Yeah.
And she couldn't open that flip phone, and it was ringing. So I was like, let me answer it. So I answered. It was my aunt, and I was like, she's like, Jay, why are you answering the phone? So I was like, yeah, she's it's not good. That's all I said. And my aunt goes, we're gonna get her out of there today. We had decided if something wrong, and she goes, she's gone, she's not herself.
Wow.
And which was they got her out, got her hydrated, and man, she really bounced back for
That's good.
weeks at a time.
Yeah. And
she would have her days, but I had a normal conversation with her 2 days later.
Wow.
It's so odd, and of course she was weak and all that, but
yeah,
that's what I said, that more than likely, if COVID never happened, she might probably still be alive there.
Yeah.
Which is it's sad. But what do? They didn't have a choice.
Well,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why a lot of our clients actually come to us, right? During COVID especially. Not because they need help with bathing or, they need help to just
conversate.
Somebody to accompany them. Or, they used to love to go shopping before, now they can't because, COVID, and they want transportation to go to Target, transportation to go to Home Goods. So we have a lot of clients that do that, regardless of if they live in home or they live in assisted living communities. But that's just to show you how lonely it can be, and how
how much fun that is for them to go to Target, and feel like that they're doing something productive,
right? Right. And plus you have a CNA or you have a caregiver next to you, right? That in case something happens, the caregiver can help you, or at least stand by assisting them, right? In case they wobbly or they want, they can actually assist them in that sense. So,
and your wife she's in the business with you?
She is. So I am the marketer, and I go, I'm front facing with the client. So I usually go, my day is basically just marketing to our referral sources and then go to clients, talk to our clients. My wife is the wheel in the company, so she handles all the operations. So she handles the recruiting, the training, the scheduling, and all those things. Yeah.
And you said you were in corporate before this. Right. What were you doing before this?
So I was in marketing and product management before this gig. So I was in more of a durable goods. So I was with Tarkett. Tarkett is a flooring company based in France, but their carpet operations based in Dalton. Before that, I had a stint with American Standard, which is commercial chinaware or bathrooms. Also with Armstrong. My first job actually after my MBA was with Whirlpool in St. Joe, Michigan. That was 2001. So. Yeah, so I've been that marketing.
What all? I know American Standard does toilets and fixtures and things like that. What else do they make that I wouldn't know?
They do faucets. But
it's all hardware for houses.
Yeah. Okay. It's all. It's all. What do you call it? It's your toilet
fixtures.
Fixtures. Yeah,
they call them fixtures.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right. That's right.
I always thought that was weird when I worked for a builder. Like there's fixtures, and I'm like you always think light fixtures, but they call the toilets fixtures too.
Yeah, they do. But that company was, when I was there, they got bought out by Lixil, which is a really huge conglomerate in Japan.
Well, they have to be a big company to buy them.
Yep, absolutely.
What'd your wife do?
So right now, my wife was actually a homemaker.
Okay.
So she was actually.
I bet she's having a lot of fun then.
I think she. This is the funny difference. Thing. When I wanted to buy a franchise, she actually one of the things she told me is she was going to work, because now the kids have grown up, right? And she said she wanted to work in Target or Home Goods because she loved the stores and she wanted to get discounts. And I said, honey,
I want to get discounts.
You're gonna work for minimum wage. You're gonna work for somebody else, right? You're gonna have some benefits, but you're not gonna,
No, I don't know if you will.
You're right. So I told her
those stores are notorious for giving you 35 hours, so you don't have to give you benefits.
Right. And so I told her, I said, you know what, I'm gonna, I'm gonna move out. Right. Let's find something that you and I can do together. Right. And so this is the other thing too. Is like sometimes when you go into business with somebody, you need somebody you can trust. Right. Now we fight more now because of the business, right?
Of course.
But I never trust anybody else but her to do
Yeah.
the thing. So I know that the operation chart's going to be done and done perfectly, while I'm just going to go and really market the company well. So.
And did you, were your kids born here?
All of my kids were born here, correct. So we moved here in 99. We've been moving around because of jobs quite a bit. But yeah, my kids, one of my first kid was born in Michigan. My next two kids were born in Virginia. So yeah, but they were born here.
And when did you come to Georgia?
So we moved to Georgia about 3.5 years ago.
Cool. Well, welcome.
Yeah, that was we're pretty brand new, and so that's why. The one thing is we love this area, that's why we bought the franchise, because, my wife and I agreed that we're not going to move anywhere else unless we're retiring. We're done. So the only time that we're going to move again is when we have to downsize, because we can't go up and down the stairs anymore, right? When we're 66 or 67. So we're done moving. So we're good.
Get a master on the main, be done with it?
That's right. Well, the master is already made right now. So I'm pretty good.
So you're good there.
Yeah.
What is, do you ever get back to Indonesia?
So, because of the distance, the
what's the plane flight?
Oh my gosh, it's
20 hours?
21 maybe.
Is it?
Yeah, 21.
That is a bear.
Yeah, and then we just went back like in 2019 December, just before COVID. We went back. And
so yeah, me and my wife, our 10-year was the summer before last, and we were in Italy.
Nice.
So if it was 1 year later, we would have been there in the middle of this craziness.
Yep.
Which, it was a year apart, but I was like, what if, I looked at it, I was like, what if last year was this year? Because Italy was like where the bowling pot
exactly
was.
Where
everybody kind of went to the world.
Honestly, I've only been back twice. One time when my dad passed away, and then the next one was when we went in 2019. My wife has not only been there once with us, and then that's why. So we went back because we knew that my mom is still there living with my sister, and she's 83. But the last time she saw our kids was when my oldest, who's now 19, was 2 years old.
Oh.
And so we had to we call it the pilgrimage.
It is a pilgrimage.
We went there, right, to see them, to see all of my uncles.
Your kids are probably like, what the heck?
My kids, they loved it because it's so much different than here, right?
Yes, it is.
You saw the buildings, but there's other things over there that you just don't see.
Yeah. Do you talk to family there
we
still?
do. Yeah. I talk
How is COVID over there?
It's probably less transparent. In here, I think the data is I don't know how accurate, but maybe fairly accurate.
Right. If you believe it, right?
Yeah. Over there, I think there's a lot of probably data that is not, I don't think you can get it because,
right.
you go to a
Isn't Indonesia a multi-generational family living there, right?
They do. And also there's about 13,000 islands, right, over there. And so, I think collecting data must be a pain in the butt in areas like that.
I'm sure.
Absolutely. And there's villages where maybe cell phone is probably not even, not even there for, so
that's probably a good thing.
It's probably a great thing because look how addicted we are to cell phone.
That
right?
and misinformation of getting it.
The fake news.
Oh gosh, it's everywhere, right? I have to tell people that's not real. Like that's not real. It can't be real, man.
Yeah. I think it's always like I tell my caregivers too, like just use common sense, right?
Yeah.
I think your common sense will tell you whether something is really true or iffy, right? If it's iffy, then it's probably gonna be false.
Yeah.
Just use your common sense. Same thing. I mean, all of this job with caregivers and going to their client space. All they have to use a lot of common sense.
Of course,
right?
I don't watch the news a lot though, and I never have.
Yeah,
it's not been because of this, but I've just never have, and I kind of laugh at some of the Facebook stuff that I see. I'm like, how can you believe that? How can you?
Right?
Hey, did you see this? They're like, did you see this? This is what happened. I'm like, that didn't happen. That's not real, man.
But don't you think you got chuckles out of it, right?
I laughed.
I laughed at it. I looked at it like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. But I don't believe it, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But there's a lot of people that do.
Unfortunately,
do believe it, and it's like mass hysteria.
Yeah,
it was, and because I have a guy that we do some business with. He's young. He's 20-year-old. He's from Colombia, and he said he went down there at the beginning of this year, and I was asking him. I was like, "How's the everybody reacting to COVID there.
COVID, right.
Just because, I just want to know what the rest of the world, just like I asked you.
Right.
And he was like, it's more of like we know we have to wear these masks and nobody's mad. He goes, it's not like it's political down there about COVID.
Yeah. Right.
And if I believe that if there wasn't a presidential election the same year as it was happening, it would have been not as bad, but that just poured, a lot of gasoline on the fire.
One thing that my mom told me, though, about Indonesia and how they actually respond to COVID with the vaccine, which is interesting, is that they actually vaccinated the younger before the older. So they do 18 plus up to 55. And then even my mom has not been able to get a vaccine because she is more than 65, which is interesting. It is interesting. It is interesting, in the
but
US, right?
I mean, okay. So if I'm looking at it if I'm looking at it from both sides, okay,
right.
Well, that's my future,
sure,
and I have to protect my future,
sure.
So I can understand that.
Yeah.
Now the weird thing is, the only thing that I go that's interesting is all the data. And come on, the Indonesian government, they
still have the same.
They
data.
have the. There's a king there? There's a
president.
There's a president there?
Yeah.
So if the president in Indonesia has the most update data, okay, let's just go ahead and say that.
Right.
Young kids weren't really being affected by it, which is a wonderful thing.
Right.
So that's a little strange to me.
It is.
But because if you know that the older people are dying and the younger people
are the most vulnerable to this virus is the older adults.
But imagine how much worse it could have been. You know what I mean? Like I hate to say it was bad. It was bad. A lot of people passed away, and it was bad. I told you my grandmother and other people have lost people. Yep. But it could have been worse.
I mean, you think about it when 9/11 happened, right? We all said nothing could be worse than this. Nothing, right? Because that's horrific, right?
Yeah.
Look at now. I mean,
I've said this. You can ask Tristan. I've said this on this podcast multiple times. When those buildings fell to the ground, when those planes hit those buildings and those buildings fell to the ground, it's not been the same ever since.
No, agree.
We went through, that, and that took, that hangover was several years.
It's a long time.
Several years, and then 2008, and that hangover took a while. So we've had some every 4 or 5 years something happened. You had Katrina.
Right.
You have all these the fires, the natural disasters, and those things happened before, but not during everything else was happening at the same time.
No, but also 9/11 happened. It struck everybody in the U.S., but the actual thing happened in New York, right? The thing about this pandemic is you go to any cities, you go to any, there's loved ones that passed away because of this, crazy virus, right? And so the whole world, you're right. So it's not only in the U.S., the whole world experienced.
It touched the whole world, for sure. I love your business. I think that you picked the right one out of the three. I think that number one, you're going to have more fun with it.
Right.
You're touching people's hearts. You're helping people's families.
Right.
I think that in the end, I think it's going to be more profitable.
Yeah.
I do.
I think so.
And you're going to have your clientele, and you're going to just gain clientele. And if you're nice to people and you hire well, people will come back to you.
Will come back. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a really big, word of mouth. Like,
true. Very true.
I mean, if I got these people to sit with my grandmother or my aunt or whatever. Oh, can you give me their number? Because that's a big word of mouth business.
So I always ask people, right? People who don't maybe never use home care, ask them, tell me a name of a home care company that you know. I would say 10 out of 10 would say, I don't know any, right?
Right.
Because number one is people don't think about that, right? You don't think you're 40s, you don't think that you're 65, right? Or you just don't put your frame of reference there.
And it's not a crazy advertised business either.
It's not true, right?
So I've heard of a lot of them because I am in merchant services,
right?
And I have those in my portfolio. But Yeah, you don't see a lot of that marketing, which is a little odd.
Yeah, but
if I was you, I'd Facebook the heck out of those.
We try.
Yes.
We try. But trust plays an important role because that trust will lead to that word of mouth advertising. And to your point, I think it is the strongest, possible marketing tool that we can ever use is that word of mouth. And you talked about the business. Statistics says that 10,000 Americans turn 65, every single day.
Yep.
That is a huge number, right?
It is.
And a lot of them will probably need help at some point in time because of sickness, because of falls. Falls is the number one reason for older adults hospitalization in the U.S.
Falls, UTIs.
Right.
And then, God, what is it? They call it the big five or whatever. There's 5 of them. I can't remember.
Falls is definitely the number one.
I'm sure.
And then you have dementia, which is Alzheimer's and all those diseases. But then, to me, I think when we started this business, of course, we want to help others. That's number one. We want to be profitable, right? But then the aspect of helping that we didn't know until we got into the business is how touching being able to help those folks.
Yeah, for sure.
When they come to you and say, "Hey, now I can go to Target again, and I'm back to normal," or when the daughter comes to me and says, "Hey, thank you for making my mom's life or days," that is
meaningful again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just very satisfying. It's very satisfying.
No, I think you picked right out of the 3. I think that there's a lot of business to be had, and you're getting into, like you said, more people are turning 65. 10,000 a day or something. I've read that statistic too.
Yeah.
So and
great number.
It's a big number. I mean, they're building facilities everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'll be surprised if the town center mall doesn't turn into that, because they went bankrupt.
Yes.
And I would assume some kind of hospital group or Kennesaw State will buy it.
Yeah, they said in 1 year or something they're gonna, I don't know. Touch wood.
That's a massive building.
That's a huge building.
Yeah. So I would figure something like that would buy it. And it's nice. It's a really around nice stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So,
right.
Well, Christian, man, thank you for coming.
It's
been great.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get off of here, how can we help you? What kind of clients you're looking for? What can we observe to go, oh, that's your client? How do we get a hold of you?
Yep. So, the most optimal client for us, of course, are older adults, 65 and older. They need some sort of help. Either it's companionship, so things like, light housekeeping, meal preparation, transportation, or if they need more hands-on, we call it personal care. So that's, showering, toileting, bathing, stuff like that. How to reach us. So you can actually go to our website is ComforCare.com /GA/Cobb/County, or you can call us at 470-231-0023, or you can email me. So Kuswita, CKUSWITA @ComforCare.com.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate you coming. Look forward to doing one of these again in another couple of years. And you're balling, getting rich, and you're going to buy me a drink then.
Will do.
Thanks, guys. Everybody be kind to each other out there.
Oh, that was fun. Thank you.
Yeah.